Watch out! I'm sorry, I've been waiting 15 years to do that. It's been 50 years, and yet this franchise won't go away. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is something unique for us. Normally on this channel, we have a show called the Post-Geekout Reaction, where we give you our open and honest thoughts about the thing that we just watched right after we watched it. Typically it's movies, but we do occasionally do it for TV series. However, today we're doing something special, because in just half an hour, the final episode of Samurai Jack is coming on. We loved Samurai Jack, both of us.
Yes.
It was one of those things in which we were like, this is before we even knew each other. When
yeah,
that show
exactly.
Went off the air. When that show went off the air, like, both of us were like, we're never gonna know the end of it. And IDW did a comic for it, but it was like, it's still not really like an ending to it.
No, it's not. It ends on a cliffhanger.
Still ends on a cliffhanger.
Yep.
So yeah, it was always one of those shows I was like, God, if there's like one show you could bring back, it'd have to be this. And they brought back, they put it on Adult Swim. As I said, in half an hour, the final episode ever comes up. So we're giving you a pre-Geek Out reaction, and then immediately after we're done talking about this, there's gonna be a little stay tuned that pops up. Then we're gonna come back with our post-Geek Out reaction to the final episode. It's crazy. We're bending time just like Samurai Jack here. Yeah, so we're just gonna talk about like our thoughts on Samurai Jack, what we think is going into the final episode, and also just talk about the episodes that have come up so far. And I just gotta say, oh my God, this is how you do bringing a show back after all these years. Dear God. We're living in a day and age in which so many TV series are coming back. Like Will and Grace, they just announced is coming back, and it's like, was literally anybody asking for that? Like, I know Will and Grace had its fans, but it's like, it's not like Samurai Jack was like, no, there was a mission for this show. Like, he had a goal in every episode, and we never got the ending to that. And it's not like we were sitting around going, it was canceled too soon. Will and Grace, didn't they go for like 9 years? It's like, come on. This was canceled too soon. They didn't get to like have the big final showdown between Jack and Aku. So it's like, God, I can't believe it didn't come back. And so they announced it was coming back. I was like, all right, I got my hopes up. It's coming out on Adult Swim. Oh man. Well, you know, it's coming out on Adult Swim, but that probably just means that it's going to be the exact same show, but they just realize it's that older fans want to see it, so they're putting it on the place for the older fans to watch. No. Nope. God, this is a show that came back. It's moving. It's like the whole point of this final season was to resolve issues. The whole point of the final season is to be the final season. They didn't bring Samurai Jack back just to be another season of Samurai Jack. They brought it back to be the final season. So right off the bat, there was a reason for one more season. It's not just because people wanted it, there was a reason for it. And secondly, they actually realized the audiences out there have grown up. The audiences out there have matured, so they matured the freaking show. Whoo, boy, and did they ever.
Yeah, it's like, Samurai Jack was pretty mature for like the children's cartoon.
It was really mature, but more almost like in an artistic way.
Yeah.
Because when you just look at like what's going on in every episode, it's like, there's really creative stuff in every single episode. But you could sit a kid down in front of it, and the kid would be like, this is really smart. But it wouldn't be like, what's happening? This is too gross for me. Oh, God, what's happening now? This is like, you can't sit a kid down in front of the last season of Samurai Jack. If you're one of those parents who was like, I enjoyed this show when I was a kid, I'm going to put on all the DVDs for my kid to enjoy. And your kid's like 5, 6 years old. And then they go, well, what happens in the final season? Man, that must suck, because you're going to have to wait like 10 more years to be able to show them that. But in all fairness, we had to wait 10 more years to see this too. But let's go ahead and just get into, like I said, they're doing this right. They're doing it right by giving it a goal, by having a reason for the final season, and for maturing the show up. But also, this has been some of the best stories I've seen in this show. Yeah. And this was a show that always had great stories. But it was great stories in every single episode. This, they have realized now that television has changed to the point in which people want serialized television. They don't just want a villain of the week show. They want to actually see progression from week to week to week, from episode to episode to episode. And that's what we've gotten. This whole season has been a journey for Jack. In fact, oddly enough, like the last like 2 episodes, I'd say have probably been the weakest simply because he's now back to being Jack. He's now Jack. He doesn't have to find himself anymore. But it's like, I understand that. That's fine. And still stuff changed in those last couple episodes.
mean, like, he had to, like, find himself in order to defeat Aku, so...
and to get his sword back.
Yeah, and all that, so...
I love that, basically, like, the gods came down and gave him the sword back the same way that they gave his dad the sword in the first place. Like, oh, man, you earned it. You got that Green Lantern ring now. You got your willpower. But, yeah, let's just start off. The big twist of this is that... It's now been 50 years since the last episode, and Jack has, for some weird reason, stopped aging.
Like, Aku explained that because he, like, jumped through time, like, time no longer has an effect on him.
Right. But here's the great thing about this. That's good for the story, but that's amazing as a metaphor. Because when this show came back, it's like, man, it's been a lot of years. It's going to be weird for me to just kind of jump back right to where Jack left off. They resolved that because you're not jumping back.
Nope.
It's even been longer for Jack than it's been for us.
It's been 15 years for us. It's been 50 50 years for him.
Actually, I think it's only been like 10 for us.
10? Something like that.
The show came on 15 years ago.
Yeah, but
it ran for 4 years, so it's like, okay. But still, like, it's been 10 years for us. It's been 50 years for him. And he's just like, I haven't aged. Nothing is changing. And it's like, this is a metaphor for syndicated TV shows. This is a metaphor for those action-adventure shows where they have to defeat the evil guy, but every single week, oh, I failed to defeat him. Well, next week will be the week I get him. This is a metaphor for that. It's where, no, for 50 years, I haven't defeated this guy. I haven't aged. Nothing is changing. I'm exactly where I was last time. It's like, this isn't fun to watch a character not grow from episode to episode. Like, it is a big criticism of syndicated villain of the week shows to the actual modern day TV shows where characters are allowed to progress. The serialized TV shows where every single episode is supposed to move them forward. It's a great metaphor for that because it's what happens when you check in on the guy who's from the old villain of the week format where he is never allowed to grow, where he's never allowed to succeed. He's beaten down, he's broken, and part of that is because all the time portals have been wiped away, which I love that because it was like, that was something I never thought about, because every single week he had to find a different time portal. I was like, I never once thought, oh shoot, these things don't just like, they're not like crops that just keep growing. Eventually you will destroy the last time portal, which I had kind of a problem with that on one level because I was like, whatever happened to that one guy he found who was like the guardian of the time portal and like actually beat the snot out of Jack and was going to kill him, but then the time portal actually spoke up and was like, oh, I guess it's just not his time yet. And then you see like a vision of Jack in the future. He's got the long beard. It's like, that'll be when he eventually comes back and uses the time portal. I was kind of like, oh, so the time portal just got screwed on that one. The time portal was wrong. Did that time portal get destroyed? And if so, what happened to the guy who was guarding the time portal? Because he seemed like a badass. But I did love that they actually had one episode in here in which they actually did like stop and go, what happened to all these characters who Jack helped? Because, as I said, the whole idea that Jack can't age, it's a metaphor for those shows where nothing progresses. That episode where Ashi is her name, right?
Yes.
Where Ashi has to go around and she sees all the people that Jack helped and how they've grown and how they've changed. It was kind of coming in here and saying, no, even if Jack was negatively affected by existing in a world where nothing changed, what he did was important. What he did made a difference. The people he saved in this world, they're characters. They live. They exist. So what he did, he saved the day and he helped them to grow. And it was like, it was a blast just seeing all of them.
Yeah,
because I didn't even remember the Samurai. Like, I vaguely remembered him because I remembered that in its 4th season, Samurai Jack got screwed. It got put on a time slot where I didn't even remember where it was. So I missed a ton of those episodes. And I had to catch them just whenever I could. And it's like, I vaguely remember seeing the Samurai episode. But it was not one of the more memorable ones. But I loved seeing him come back. Especially because they kept getting the same voice actors. And that character was voiced by Keegan-Michael Key, who is a way bigger star now than he was back then. So it was like, it was great that he was willing to come back for it. Also, I love that they got Kevin Michael Richardson to come back to play Demono, whatever his name was. Demongo, that was it. Got him to come back from Demongo for one line. And in all fairness, Kevin Michael Richardson is a professional voice actor. He didn't like go on and become like a normal actor, although he does do normal acting. I think he's in that supermarket TV show that everybody keeps telling me is really good that I need to check out, but he does do like actual like physical acting, but he's mainly a voice actor. But he's a big ass voice actor. I mean, he just got done playing Shredder for like 5 years over on the latest TMNT show. He's allowed to tell people no these days. He was still like, yeah, I'll come in for one line. I don't care. It's like, man, that shows the love that people had for this show, that they were willing to come back for that.
I think like what really made me happy is like the original creator, Gennady Tartakovsky, actually, I probably screwed up his name, I'm sorry.
Gennady Tartakovsky, yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that he actually came back to like finish what he started, because...
Let this go down in history. The one time she got a name wrong and I got it right. But yeah, as you were saying.
Yeah, because, you know, like, usually whenever, like, a show comes back or something, it's usually, like, a different creator or something like that, and it kind of ruins the concept or something, but
Community.
But...
Yeah, this is when a creator got to come back, and not just come back, but got to do whatever he wanted with it. That was stunning. Didn't it feel like in this season, he was like, so I can do whatever I want? Yeah, no, I can't. I know what you mean by that. I can't do everything I want. I'm just going to slip this one thing in there. Oh, they didn't notice it. Next episode, I'm going to slip this in there. Oh, you're still not giving me notes on this? Next episode, Jack is covered in blood. He murders an entire group of people. This dude looks like a penis. Oh my god, I can actually do whatever I want. Oh, wow.
Welcome to Adult Swim.
Yeah, because, like, first episode, they stab someone in the eye with an arrow off camera, and you see a little bit of blood come out. And I remember when I saw that in the trailer, I was like, oh, they're not messing around with this anymore. But every single episode, it got a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, until it was like, it really feels like he was, every single episode is going, let's see what they tell me I can't do this week. Oh, shoot, I could do it. Oh, wow. Like, that was the big stunning part of all this to me.
But I feel like that worked, especially for the finale, because throughout the entire series, like you said, not only is it the villain of the week, but most of the villains were just robots.
They were.
So when he killed them, no consequences.
Up, yeah. And I love that that was a thing in here. That's not just some like, oh, we're on Adult Swim, he's going to kill people. It's like, no, they recognize for 50 years, he's just been blowing up robots.
Yes.
Same thing that was going on in that last series for 4 years straight. Same thing, day in, day out, just killing robots because they're robots, who cares? The moment that he kind of realizes he killed a human and like his dark shadow self comes out and is like, we killed plenty of robots, thousands even, but never killed a human before. It was like, that was the moment in which it was like, this is when it's different. This is the thing that after 50 years, something different has happened to Jack, and it's going to change him.
Like, I think another thing that, like, caused him to, like, change, and the reason why it's perfect for Adult Swim and the grand finale is, when how he lost his sword.
Yeah.
Like, basically...
Yeah, when they revealed, like, with the goats, basically.
Yeah, like, basically, like, Aku turned these cute little goats into, like, beasts that to attack Jack. He fought back, and then they revert back to the innocent little goats, and they're just dead and covered in blood. And Jack realizes he killed a life, and he just completely snapped, and that's when he, like, started, like, having an absolute rage build.
That's when the darkness started building.
Yes.
But it was that, and also the final time where, like, he failed.
Like,
he cannot go back and save the past.
Yeah, between not being able to go back and, like, killing innocent animals, like, and not for food, obviously.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. Is, like, that's why it was different for him when he killed the human being. Because, like, he still killed animals for food.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was, like, that started, like, the darkness inside of him, but also, like, that feeling that he failed. He has no purpose anymore. Nothing matters anymore.
And because of the rage and the failure, the sword lost him. Like,
yeah, it's not that the sword fell down this bottomless pit. It's that the sword left.
Yeah.
The sword was like, you are not... It's Thor's hammer. Is what
yeah,
it is.
basically.
That's what it is. Which, considering that Odin is one of the gods that gave it to him, is like, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's like, you're not worthy to lift me anymore. Man, there are lots of weird references in this thing when you think about it, which wouldn't surprise me if, like, the sword is partly based on Thor's hammer, because Tartakovsky is a comic book fan. He just did a Luke Cage series for Marvel. But also, I had always heard that Samurai Jack was partly based on this Frank Miller comic called Ronin. I've never read it, so I can't say how much it is based on that. But in the third episode, after he fought the Daughters of Aku, and he was like just covered in blood, he was in that cave, and literally, there are gorgeous shots in here. This is one of the most gorgeous television series I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely.
This season was amazing. But there's that one shot where he's just in the cave, and he's just covered in blood, and literally the outline of his body, like his whole body is black against black background, so it's just the eyes, but then the outline of his body is just the blood covering him. I'm like, that is a Frank Miller ass shot. Like, that was totally inspired by Frank Miller. So yeah, this is the season in which he was like, I'm gonna wear all my influences on my sleeve. I am paying tribute in every frame to everything that influenced me. And there were just gorgeous shots all over the place, like with when they were on the bus and there were the tires that just had the letters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cheap thing to have them spell out like Die Samurai Die, but it's like, dude, they framed every shot to spell out the letters so gorgeously. This is one of the best looking shows out there. I really have to say that again. But yeah, speaking of Ashi,
yeah,
she's had an amazing character arc too.
Yeah.
I really like when they first popped up. I was like, okay, well, Ashi's going to be different because they've been focusing on her more in that. But
and they show her being different, like being more curious about the outside world.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, so I had kind of a feeling she was going to turn good, but I was like, all right, well, what's going to happen? And I was like, I dig that. Them just being out in the world was kind of like, oh, we weren't taught about this. But I also love that, like, the fights between them and Jack were some of those brutal things I've seen. Like, I love that after she has that big revelation, and she's like, the world is evil, and she starts, like, embracing the beauty of the world. Like, when she has to actually scrub the charcoal off her body, I was like, man, that is, like, that's great symbolism right there. But after that was done, and she, like, then just makes, like, the dress made out of leaves, she then still murders an entire army of people when they're trying to get to Jack. Like,
she even murders her own mom.
Which, yeah. I love that, like, listen, this has to come down to Jack versus Aku.
Yeah.
It's gotta come down to that, because that's what the entire series has been.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I would kind of be okay with her being the one that takes him out, because, like, this entire season has shown her character arc. So I was like, okay, you've introduced a character who I can understand her being the one to take him out. Although what I would really love is if there is like one last time portal and she takes out Aku in the present and then he goes back in time and takes out Aku in the past. I'm like, bam, both of you guys got to do it. Yay, everybody gets something out of this. But yeah, I love that even if she doesn't she isn't the one to take out Aku, the fact that she got to take out her mother is like character arc. You got it. You fought your boss. You fought your big final villain. Which, speaking of that, how much time we got? Speaking of that, what do you think? Do you think she's going to live?
I don't know. It's really hard to say.
I feel like it would be super cheap if they killed her.
Like, maybe she, I feel like maybe she sacrificed herself.
Yeah, that'd be better than if Jack had to kill her. But I can't see Jack doing that.
No.
Especially after everything that he's been through.
Yeah.
I mean, if everything that he's been through, he still has to do it, and, like, the big victory for him is just the fact that the evil spirit doesn't come back when he kills someone. It's like, whatever. That wouldn't be as fulfilling. But if she is able to fight off and, like, she, like, harakiris herself with Jack's sword or something, like,
right.
Well, okay, but still, that is, like, this whole last season has been about building hope in someone who had no hope in them. And if that gets taken away, I feel like that'd be kind of a cheap ending.
Like,
I feel like that, not cheap, but it would be like, an empty ending.
Right.
That's what I feel like it would be.
But I trust Gendy. Like,
Yeah.
when they had the Ashi and Jack started making out, I was like, oh, feels like sort of a forced romance, but I trust Gendy. I know he's gonna like do something with this relationship. And in the very next episode, bam, you realize that Ashi has Aku's blood in her. So
I love that the daughters of Aku are literally the daughters of Aku.
Yeah. Now Jack can't defeat Aku because it means trying to.
He would have to kill Ashi.
Yes, exactly. So all this thing this mission he was dedicating his entire life to, he can't even do it. He can't bring himself to do it because it means, you know, killing another person that he cares so much, losing another person he loves so much.
Yeah, exactly. And this whole season has been about loss for him. So what I'm really hoping for is that we saw that Jack had to meditate to go to like his spirit realm, and basically he had to confront his darkness in there. I'm really hoping that Ashi does something similar to that, where she is able to confront the darkness inside her, and like she defeats the evil Aku inside of her, and then when she's free, Jack is able to come back. But also speaking about predictions for the final episode, the Scotsman.
Yes.
Where'd that storyline go?
No, like I'm hoping that well, he said that he has to get Jack in order to defeat Aku, so he tells his army of daughters, who are total badasses, by the way.
The second they showed up, I was like, please let them all be his daughter. And that was such a great reveal.
But yeah, like he basically tells his daughters to like split up and find Jack, and I'm hoping that they make the appearance in the final episode and like give him the
Celtic sword.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, the Celtic sword could also harm Aku.
Yeah.
Which I'm shocked that Aku was like not worried about that, but it's like, maybe what I'm kind of hoping is that with the Celtic sword, he's able to like suck out the evil in Ashi into it. Because the Scotsman is trapped inside the Celtic sword, and I'm just thinking to myself, the Scotsman would probably like nothing better than to be able to spend all of eternity fighting Aku. Like, if he could suck out the evil in Ashi, put it in the sword, and then for all eternity, the Scotsman just gets to laugh like crazy as he beats the crap out of the evil Aku. So I was like, you know what? That's a good end for the Scotsman story. That was another great reveal, because that was one of the things when they revealed it was going to be 50 years in the future. I was like, that kind of sucks that we're not going to get to see the Scotsman, because no way is he still alive 50 years in the future. Like, no, he is, and Aku killed him.
But he's a ghost now, so.
But yeah, again, it's like, I felt kind of sad when they killed him, and they was like, nope, he's a ghost, he's in the sword. And I'm like, this has to be something that comes back. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, we have yet to even talk about Aku himself.
Yeah.
Which, it's a new voice actor.
Yeah.
Because the old voice actor, Mako, I believe it was, he passed away. And I love that Mako was also the voice of Uncle Iroh in Avatar, and when they had to get Uncle Iroh for The Legend of Korra, it's the exact same voice actor they got for this. And I was like, this is this dude's entire career, just playing the characters that Mako used to play. That is so great. That's like, they were like, you're as close as anyone's gonna get. But this is, in the very first episode, when Jack, it was a classic, like, super serious Gendy Tartakovsky episode where, like, there's barely any dialogue, it's just the artwork and everything, and so serious, Jack is going around as a badass. Then all of a sudden, the Sammy Davis Jr. robot pops up. Hey, babe, listen there, Jackie boy. I was like, at first I was like, this is jarring and weird, but then I started about, that's what Samurai Jack was. Samurai Jack was always this. Samurai Jack was always balance of the serious, balance of the weird and cartoonish, but they found a way to make it work within the same world.
And it still works.
And it still works. It's like, it took me a second to remember this is what made this show really unique. Well, there are a lot of things that made it unique.
Yeah, but this is one of them,
This is one of the things that made it unique. And I love that even though this is such a more serious take on Jack, this is such a more serious story, they didn't lose that. And I love that Aku, despite all the evil crap he's doing, he is still just being like more jokey than he ever was. Like his jokiness has been taken up to 11.
Yeah.
Like he's almost never serious, which was a little bit weird to me, except that the jokes were great. Like him being a therapist to himself, or when he was like, maybe I will crush this army to help with my malaise. Like just that line was one of the funniest things this whole season. But then when it got to that point where he went to confront Jack, And he was like, oh, you still have the sword. Well, it was nice seeing you, Jack. We should really catch up again. And then he's leaving, but then he turns Ashi into the evil self, and it's this super dramatic thing. But then you just cut to Aku, and he's there with a giant dead robot going, kids, right? You try to raise them right, and then they go run off with your mortal enemy. While she's like screaming to not do this, and Jack is like, I can't do this. And I was like, this is what makes Aku work.
I know.
Aku was never serious.
No.
And, like, you always thought he was because of the stuff that he did. But the thing that made Aku, the thing that made him a unique villain is that he destroyed the world. He just destroyed all good in the universe. He was ultimate evil. But he would just be a goofy, jokey guy, but he could be that because he was that big of a threat, because he could do that much evil stuff. He's kind of like the Joker in that way. Except with the Joker acts that way because that's his thing, because he's just crazy. Aku acts this way because he can. He's that powerful. And I was like, God, they really like, it took this final season to make me go, that's what made this character so good all these years. Oh my God. Well, this thing starts in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
you got any other thing you want to say about this?
Nope. It's just, well, I don't know if I'm ready for the finale. It's so weird. It's like it's like this series has been cut short, and we've been dying to see the ending. But now that it's here, it's like I'm not ready to say goodbye.
Yeah, it's like. You want to be able to say goodbye. You want to be able to see your hero succeed. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I don't know if any of the action cartoons I watched as a kid, like Thundercats or He-Man or G.I. Joe, I don't remember if any of them had a final episode where they actually, like, finally defeated Mumra or whatever. Like, but this was a show that was so much more serious than those. It was so much more mature and just way freaking better than any of them. And because of that, it was like the one show in which I legitimately felt gypped that they did not give us an ending to it. And now I was like, oh my God, we finally get it. And it's like, it's not that I'm not ready for it, I just can't believe it's happening. I can't believe, oh my God, the story of Samurai Jack is going to end. That's the amazing thing to me. It's like this beautiful, amazing show, the storyline will come to an end, and it's going to come to an end after the best season it's ever had. One of the best seasons of any animated series I've ever had, with an amazing story that shows this character's journey and shows growth and development and has introduced us to a brand new amazing character who doesn't feel forced at all. It feels like she naturally fits in here.
Right.
It's gonna suck if this final episode is terrible and we come back and like, well, that was a thing.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Let's see. We'll be right back after the commercial break.
Back to the past, Samurai Jack.
Well, we're back.
Yes, you can tell by his new shirt.
Yes. Sorry for screwing up continuity, everybody, but I noticed as soon as we were done recording, it's like, oh, there's a stain on my sleeve. I'm not sitting with that for an entire other half hour of this reaction. So yeah, we literally just finished watching it. It's pretty good.
Yes.
Pretty darn good.
Yes, I say they wrapped it up very well.
They did. It's as wrapped up as you can possibly get. Like, the only question that I still have is, so can Jack age now? Like, that's literally the only thing. Like, did that get fixed, or is he now immortal? Like, that's my only question. But, I mean, that's not even, like, a big thing. Like, that's something that Gendy Tarkovsky can answer in, like, an interview years from now. It's like, oh, okay. Or it's like one of those things where it's like, even if it's never answered, it's like, leave that in your mind. Is Jack still wandering around these days? Also, I love that they did not give us Jack's actual name.
No.
I love that, because Jack wasn't his actual name. It's that he used a fake name when he got to the future so that Aku would not know he was there, and then eventually Aku realized, oh, this Jack guy is the samurai. But, like, then the legend of Jack had been built up, so yeah, I love that they just, to us, he will always be Jack. That is it. We don't need anything else in there. But yeah, for the final episode, I cannot freaking believe how they opened this up. I cannot believe that it's like, okay, it's super tense in the beginning because you've got everybody. You see, like, all the people that Jack has ever helped. Watching on TV. Watching, like, just this screen of, like, the inside of Aku's palace.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's waiting for something to start, and then it starts. It's just the opening from the original series. They didn't even get the new voice actor for Aku to redub it. They got Mako, like the original lines recorded by Mako, which is just a great tribute to that voice actor. To be able to go, yeah, he's still in the show in some way. Like, that was the best way that they could have put him in there. It was such a loving tribute to the history of this show that you end the show with the way that it opened. Like, that is brilliant to me. And I mean, it was just such like it was on TV. People all across the world were watching this on TV. Like we used to watch on TV. It's like, man, that's just such an amazing way to kick this off. I love that so much. But I also love, we talked about how one of our favorite episodes from this season so far is when Ashi was going around actually talking to all the people who Jack had helped over the previous seasons. I love that you saw them all in this episode, watching that, and then they go to save Jack. Like, it wasn't enough that Jack made their lives better, it's that they repaid it. It's that Jack meant something to them, Jack saved them, Jack showed them that you can stand up to Aku. So what do? They stand up to Aku. That was great. Like, the only ones, I vaguely remember the Jump Good guys. Like, I was like, I don't remember the monkeys, and you said, don't you remember the Jump Good episode? I was like, that sounds familiar, I think I do. And then when they hit Aku in the face and he goes, flying monkeys, and he goes, no, Jump Good. And I was like,
yep.
Now I remember it.
Yeah, the only ones we don't really remember are the robots piloting the giant samurai.
Yeah, I didn't remember them.
Yeah, if any of you guys know what episode they're from, like, leave a comment.
That was the only one that must have been like a fourth season. Because like I said, fourth season, I didn't catch all the episodes. I was the only one, was there anybody you were hoping would show up that didn't?
I don't know, really.
I kind of wish that the samurai had been watching that and been like, screw it, one last time, and picked up the sword and like maybe saved one of the guys from like one of Aku's little minions and just be like, yeah, I get to be a samurai for once in my life. It's like, all right, that would have been like a cool thing to come in and do. Or honestly, I really wish, I don't know if you remember it, but there was one episode where Aku hired like these bounty hunters.
Oh yes, the jaguar bounty hunters.
The jungle cat.
Yeah.
I wish they had been.
Oh, they would have been great.
They would have been cool. That's like the only one that I can think of that like I kind of wish they had popped up. Everybody else popping up was good, especially the freaking Scotsman. I love that so much because I always love the interactions between Jack and the Scotsman. I mean, in the first episode when they were like at each other's throats and they were kind of like semi-enemies. That was good. But after they became friends, every single time they popped up, I love the interaction between this big, blowhard, constantly talking Scotsman and like the quiet and solemn samurai guy. And like how Jack was always very respectful of him, but you could tell Jack was never like annoyed at the Scotsman. Just the Scotsman was being this big, spit-talking, blathering blowhard. And Jack was like, oh, okay. Like, Jack would just go along with it. Like, he wasn't, like, upset with the guy. He was like, okay, that's how he is. And I love that in this heated moment, the woman he loves is possessed by this demon. And Aku is going crazy, taking out all these people. The Scotsman still comes in here and is like, let me introduce you to all of my... I can't do a Scottish accent, which is ironic since I am Scotch. Scotch-Irish, I guess. He's like, let me introduce you to all of my daughters. And then he lists off every single one of them. I love that at no point Jack went... we have no time for this, I gotta go. He was like, all right, that's your daughters. Well, wow, that's a lot of them. And I love that every single one of them had different design.
Yeah, that's the great part.
That's the magic of Genndy freaking Tartakovsky. Genndy Tartakovsky always goes that extra mile when it comes to the animation. But yeah, I love that. And also, like, just seeing them, like, talk to each other was great. Like, the moment in which he was like, go ahead, have your pick of the lot of them. And he was like, I can't do that. And like he just starts yelling at him like the way that they always do. Like, no, I met someone. And then he was like, oh, that's sweet, my boy. Who is she? And I'm like, God, one of them is dead. The other one's been immortal for 50 years. They haven't met in all this time. Right where they left off. Like, that was the interaction they had, and it was perfect seeing that again without like missing a freaking beat. I love that so much. So that was one of my favorite things in this whole episode. But I will say from there, I thought the rest of the episode was kind of like, kind of a typical.
Yeah, your typical
closing.
There
was nothing in there that I really didn't call, like, How he goes back in time, that I didn't call at all because I was not expecting her to gain Aku's powers. I thought they would get the evil of Aku out of her instead of...
I actually really liked that. Like, they weren't able to get the evil out of her, but she was able to control the evil and
that's
fight
a stronger
back.
message.
Yes, I think that's a great message.
I think that's, So it's like, okay, you know what? That worked. I'm cool with that. And literally, as soon as he goes, you have Aku's powers, and she goes, you're right. And I went, oh my god, does that mean that she can open time portals? And then she instantly opened the time portal. I was like, oh snap.
And the best part is when Aku turns to the camera, it's like, oh no.
That was because you've been waiting 15 freaking years to see this character get his comeuppance, and just the look on his face of, oh, I'm about to get my comeuppance. The only thing I'll say is that when they did get back to the past, I love his reaction. That it's literally just the scene of when he sent Jack into the future. It's just beat for beat the exact same thing happening. I love that when he got back to the past, he went, "You're back already!" Literally just as if the second layer. I do feel like that fight was over a little bit quickly. Yeah, I felt like that was a little bit quick, but that's
But I think it's because they had to make room for
There's a lot that for a half-hour episode they had to cram a lot in here. I understand it, but I wish they could have been a little bit more.
I think what surprised me was Ashi was able to make herself go into the past as well. She basically went into the time portal with him. It's oh, I thought she was going to stay here, but no.
Yeah, one of the best things in this episode is the look on Jack's face when he's finally going through the time portal, because it is that look of, finally, this is what I've been waiting for, finally going back to the past. That's so rewarding, because we wanted this guy to go back and beat Aku this whole time.
When they were holding hands, I actually kind of got teary-eyed.
It was great. It was very emotional. I will say, though, as soon as he slayed her, though, I kept thinking, she's gonna fade away because Aku doesn't exist anymore. But I kept thinking, I had that little hope. It's well, she's got Aku's magic, so maybe she can, use that to stick around. But I was yeah, eventually she's gonna.
I thought it was gonna happen right away. You killed Aku, now I'm gone, and that. But she actually stuck around for a while.
She stuck around for a long time.
Yeah, to the point where they were actually planning a wedding, and then she faded.
Yeah, it was
away.
while she was going up to the wedding. Which I gotta say, when the guests for the wedding arrived, I loved that it was all the people who trained Jack.
Right. Oh, that was good.
That was so good. And there's so many little things from that. I couldn't remember all of them.
No, but.
But whenever they popped up, I went, now I remember you. When the Hercules-looking dude showed up, I was I forgot about him, but I remember him now. But the thing that I loved is that when the Arabian guy sees the African guy, he goes up and hugs him, and the African guy's That's exactly what happened in that first episode when they interacted. I never thought about that. I forgot about that completely until I saw it, and I was man, that is a blast of nostalgia for your ass. That is, that is the most, press here to activate all the nostalgia feelings. It's just like the beginning. So good. And I love that. It's when you think back to that first episode, when he went in there to face Aku the first time, his mom was still alive, his dad was still alive, so it was him. He's he does get everything back. He did free his family. Nobody had to die. He did really prevent all this evil. It's that's great. But it moved so quickly up to that wedding that I was there's one last thing coming.
Yeah, it's
it was going way too smoothly. I was there's one last thing coming. So when she died, I kind of hated that her last line was, if Aku is gone, then I can't exist, fades away. I was not even going to give in, Jack, I love you.
Because, the I love you was what made Ashi snap out of it and take control of the evil.
Yeah. So I was that's not a good last line for a character to have. That's not a good final exchange for these characters. That's, if I be one critique, that's it. Her final line, the last thing they say to each other, it's not good. It doesn't have the emotional impact.
Right.
But I did dig him, seeing him go around. The ladybug comes down. It's come full circle. That is smart how they, it makes me look back at, all the interactions that Ashi has with the ladybugs. I'm holy cow, you were planning this all along. Way to freaking go. You were setting up this final little thing in there. That's brilliant. Way to go with that. And yeah, it's the ladybug, because the ladybug was always that hope that Ashi kind of had for the better world. So it is kind of that symbol of the ladybug's here, Aku's gone, the better world does exist. So it's kind of like him, like, I get why Jack is now happy. Because it is that thing of, like, the woman I love is gone, but I gave her the world that she wanted.
Right.
It's like, the world that she died for now exists because of us. So it's like, you know what? As long as the world goes on, some part of Ashi still exists. Like I said, I kind of do just want to know, like, so is Jack immortal? Like, it's like...
Like, part of me doesn't want him to be immortal because I want him to, like, reunite with Ashi.
Well, no, if Ashi's gone, then she'll never exist.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Like,
It's not like she's going to, like... Aku doesn't come back.
No, I meant, like, die, like...
Oh, you want him to die? Oh.
Yeah, like, the spirit world sort of thing.
You wanted the final shot of them to be walking off into the light.
Yeah, basically, so...
I get you. Okay. But yeah, it's like, you know what? He created the good world. Like, yeah, there's nothing more to really say about. There's nothing really to reflect on, but in a way that's good. Because, like we said, we've waited 10 freaking years for this thing to wrap up. It wrapped up. I will say that. Like, it wraps up, but it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, there's nothing for us to really talk about.
No.
There's no, like, well, what could this possibly mean? What could this mean? Like, what's interpret this? Like, no. There's a big-ass bow on this film, on this TV show. Like, which is incredible. As we were saying in the previous episode, like, how amazing is it that, like, a show wrapped up? That one of these shows where it was like a villain of the week kind of thing, where it's like the hero would never ever achieve his destiny because he had to keep coming back. It's over with. It's done. The final season, Jack is free. It is kind of a beautiful thing. So yeah, it's like, it didn't quite hit me 100% with the emotions. And I think that is kind of because, like, yeah, they moved into that wedding so quickly. I was like, I know what's going to happen. And then their final exchange could have been better, but it's like, you know what? As an end to a show, it's a damn good end to a show. It's a damn good end to the story of Samurai Jack. Especially, like I said, with all this stuff it brought back, seeing everybody he saved come back, that's the best thing about this episode. That to me was the best thing, seeing all of them be saved. And also, seeing the people that trained him come back, because I was like, damn, that really says to me how he, like, saved the whole world. Like, those guys are all okay.
Yeah.
Like, Aku never got outside this village, the whole world gets to keep on spinning. And also, it's like, that's how far back he prevented any evil, is he went all the way back to the first episode. Seeing all those people who trained him come back, it does make me go, all the people are still there. Like, he really did save the day.
And he saved the future, too. Like, all his friends he made in the future, like, they're all gonna be safe. They don't have anything to, like, fight against.
Yeah. So, yeah. Man, it really was just... I hate saying it again, but how rare is it that a show just wraps up so well?
Yeah, like, even the comic book, like we said, it, like, ends on a cliffhanger. It basically ends, like, with all the characters uniting to fight against Aku. Like, basically the second, like, the beginning of this final episode.
Yeah,
so
kind of, yeah. I will say, first off, one other thing that I want to say, when we were talking about the previous episodes in this season, I forgot to mention episode 3, the one in which he actually fights the Daughters of Aku in the snow. That's one of the most gorgeous episodes of anything I've seen. Period. So I just had to quickly stop and go, I forgot to mention that, but that, I just had to stop and say, damn, that was incredible. But also talking about the characters that we wish had shown up, I mentioned the Hunter guys. The Lupin the Third ripoff guy, the thief.
Oh, yeah!
The guy, he was meant to be a thief, but he was designed to look like, God, what was his name? But like the gunner in Lupin the Third's TV series.
Right, right.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, he was meant to be a ripoff design of that guy. I was like, you know what? I know he would have been way old, but I wish we had gotten like one episode in which that guy popped up because I always enjoyed him. But yeah, so aside from that, this was really one of the best final seasons of a show I've ever seen. So yeah, one last time, Genny Tarkovsky, you magnificent bastard. You did the thing that people working in the animation industry, any television industry, honestly, but especially the animation one, where you're not even allowed to progress them from episode to episode, you did the thing that they always dreamed of. You gave your story an ending, and you got to really do it your way. You did it your way. Yeah, man, that's incredible. It's really... just talking on like an artistic level, this is one of the best accomplishments in animation that I've seen.
Yeah.
So I really have to applaud. So now get started on Symbiotic Titan Season 2.
Yeah, let's hope.
How amazing would that be if like that was the thing that was like, because this was such a success. This was such a big thing, like both critically and viewer-wise and audience reactions. It was such a big success. Disney could totally go to Adult Swim right now and go Symbiotic Season 2. Do it. And they'll be like, this is the guy who did Samurai Jack, man. We gotta do it. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would prefer it if he went on and did something new. But Symbiotic Titan, you could tell he cared about that and it never got a chance to get off the ground. So it's like,
finish Symbiotic Titan, then you can go on with the rest of the projects.
Because we know you wanted to do Symbiotic Titan. You never got the chance. So yeah, I would really dig seeing that. I totally dismissed Symbiotic Titan when it came on. I was like, this doesn't look interesting to me at all. And then like after it got canceled, I checked out reruns of it and I was like, oh my god, this is good. I'm part of the problem because I didn't support this. My bad.
You didn't buy the toys.
But yeah, so that's it. As I said one last time, Jack, it was a delight spending 15 years with you. Even if 10 of those were just in my memories. But this is incredible, and anybody who wants to ever bring like a show back, this is the way to do it. There's nothing else for me to say. I'm just kind of like stalling time because like I don't want to stop talking about Samurai Jack, but there's nothing else to say. So yeah, thank you guys. Let us know what you thought in the comments down below, and come back next time.
Bye.
Oh, also, one last thing. This is the first time we've ever done this for like a season of a TV series. I do it for The Flash every now and again, but just because I talk about comics on this channel a lot.
What about Voltron?
Oh, we did it for Voltron, you're right. But tell you guys what, let us know in the comments down below. Do you want to see us do this more for TV shows? Because Attack on Titan Season 2 is getting close to wrapping up. And I don't know how much you guys care about anime, but also My Hero Academia Season 2 is about to wrap up. I'd gladly talk about both those. So let us know in the comments down below or on Twitter and Tumblr at Professor Thorgy if you want to see us do that. As I was saying, bye.
Bye. For real this time.
Check.